Hello, SYNGAP10. My name is Michael Graglia. Today is Friday, May 15th, and this is episode 10 of SYNGAP10, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about SYNGAP1 and what's going on in this incredible space. Let's jump right in because, as usual, there's a lot to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is validated scales, right? So let's remember why we're all here. We're all here because we love somebody who's sick with SYNGAP1. And we're all here, really, the reason you're listening to this is because you want to know when there's going to be therapies that we can put into our loved ones so we can make them better. So we can reduce their symptoms. We can improve the SYNGAP in their head, reduce the epilepsy, reduce the intellectual disability, improve the sleep, reduce the autism. Maybe they can get potty trained, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's endless. It's endless what our children are going through. And we want it to be better. Well, what's good news is a lot of companies working on different solutions to that. Good news is more and more rare diseases like Angelman's and others are working on therapies and just trailblazing, and we're just going to go right behind them. Bad news is part of clinical trials is validated scale, some kind of scale you can use to measure our kids and say, hey, today, Tony, my son, he scored like a 2 on the cognition test. And after we gave him this drug, he scored a 5. And that's a huge deal because most kids don't ever go from a 2 to whatever. So holy smoke, something worked. We need ways to measure where our kids are at so that we can measure how they improve when therapies are introduced, right? Where on earth are we going to get validated scales? That sounds really complicated. Well, good news. There's 2 that I want to tell you about. First of all, SYNGAP Research Fund belongs to something called the Combined Brain. Combined Brain is a pretty selective, actually a very selective group of rare disease groups working together under Terry Jo Bichelle, who's amazing. Angelman mom, I've talked about her before. And we're trying to figure out what we can do to work together to do this, to bring therapies forward faster, right? Good news, Angelman syndrome, incredible rare disease group who's done a lot of work, way ahead of us, knew that they needed a validated scale and developed something in collaboration with the team at Duke University. And it's called the ORCA scale. I don't know what it stands for, but it's a thing. FDA approved, validated scale. They've used it in trials. Amazing. And the question is, well, great, can we use it for other rare diseases? And the answer is, yeah, we probably can. So ORCA's like, great, let's go work with other rare diseases. These people, they're busy. They're really smart. They don't have time to call 20 different rare disease groups, figure out who's crazy, who's not, who's effective, who they want to work with. It's too much work. They're smart. They call Terry Jo because they know that Terry Jo's already done that work. And they said, hey, we want to work with your members on expanding the ORCA. So we want you to write a grant to the FDA with us, and so we can say we're working with you and get this FDA grant. They did it. Punchline. They did it. This Combined Brain hasn't even put out the press release on this yet. There's a link. It's in the show notes on the FDA website. It's impenetrable like most government websites. But punchline, team at Duke just got a grant to expand the ORCA for certain rare diseases. And SYNGAP is very much on their list because guess what? They were super excited about Ciitizen and how easy it's going to make it for them to do this work. Bing, 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 sign up for Ciitizen. But congratulations to the team at ORCA. Thank you very much, Terry Jo and Combined Brain. We are thrilled about this, and we look forward to telling you more. Also, July 17th, 9 Pacific, noon Eastern, Dr. Thomas Frazier from John Carroll University, who we have a small grant into, to do another validated scale. Because let's be honest, folks, a couple is fine. We want more options. So Dr. Frazier has been working with Dr. Connie Smith-Hicks, who's on our SAB, exceptional MD, PhD over at Hopkins, to develop this tool specifically for SYNGAP, and he's ready to engage patients. And in order to engage patients, he needs to tell us what he's up to. So July 17th, we're going to do a webinar with him, and in that webinar, he's going to tell you how you and your loved one, assuming you're in Ciitizen, because you should be in Ciitizen, can participate in this work. So go ahead and sign up for Ciitizen, and then come to that webinar July 17th, and then look forward to being a part of validating his scale, the NET tool, so that we have more options for measuring progress in our kids when these trials that are come, right? Super exciting. That's number 1, validated scales. Number 2, grandparents. If you think about it, this whole being diagnosed with SYNGAP is like about a decade old, right? It's only starting to happen. So, and we used to say the families get diagnosed, but actually the parents we meant the parents. But then we're like, wait, what about the siblings? And then the other couple weeks ago, a very smart grandmother, Barbara, said, well, what about the grandparents? What's it like to be a grandparent if it's a gap? I said, I don't know, you should write an article. So she did. SYNGAP.fund/grand. SYNGAP.fund/grand. Go ahead and read that article. It's really good. If you have a parent who's a grandparent of a Syngapian, send it to them. And in that article, there's a link to a little Facebook group we made for the grandparents. Super cool stuff. Super cool conversations going on in there. So yeah, thank you, Barbara, for your leadership there, and really excited about the grandparents group that's forming. kind of thrilled about that. Item number 3, Ciitizen. Guess what? Great news and great news. Great news, we're past 100. We're on our third cohort of 50 with Ciitizen. I thank you to everybody who signed up. Again, this data it takes you 10 minutes to sign up. So if you're in the US, go ahead, sign up, it takes 10 minutes. Ciitizen will go out, collect all your records, and then on the back end, they'll go through and they'll have the robots will read them and turn all the words into medical codes. The humans will go through it and double check all that work. Then anonymous versions of that data will be put into a big spreadsheet that'll be shared with researchers so that those researchers can learn more about SYNGAP1 and systematically answer all the questions that we're kicking around in the group, right? Which drugs work, which drugs don't? What about tonsils and adenoids? What about sleep? It's endless. But the only way we tackle this question is by putting our data in one place and giving it to researchers. And that's why the board of SRF is funding all of this work with Ciitizen. It is cutting edge stuff and we're moving at the speed of light. So Americans, SYNGAP.fund, no. Ciitizen.com/SYNGAP1, go ahead and sign up. And if you're not in the US, you're gonna send me an email after this, like you always do, saying, Mike, when do we get to sign up for Ciitizen? This isn't fair. Why are you leaving us out? Well, it's not up to me. It's not up to me. Ciitizen hasn't had the infrastructure on the back end to meet international regulatory requirements because they're different everywhere. But they fixed that and they've changed that and they're now taking international participants. So if you are in a country where your records are in English, because right now the robots only read English, England, Canada, Australia, Ireland, I don't know where else, India, Hong Kong, whatever, go ahead and get your records. Sorry, we can't collect them for you. Go ahead and get your records. Go to Ciitizen.com/SYNGAP1, upload your records, and your data will be included in all of this incredible work that is currently going on with researchers. And there's a whole other thing we're going to do with that I can't even tell you about yet, but it's coming soon. Super exciting. The punchline is get yourself in Ciitizen so you can be at the party. Like the door is wide open. We are not excluding anybody. If you want your child included, sign up for Ciitizen. Ciitizen.com/SYNGAP1. I don't know how to make it easier. I really don't. Great news too. People are talking about SRF. So as you know, I founded SRF with my incredible wife. And I need to be careful here because I can start talking about how great my wife is because she's amazing. But don't trust me. Don't listen to me. Go check it out for yourself because she gave a very rare interview. She doesn't talk to, she's an introvert. She doesn't do a lot of interviews. But she did an interview the other day and it's at SYNGAP.fund/Kayo. Kayo is a organization that supports women in investing, and Ashley is a woman in investing. So they're like, Ashley, you're pretty cool. Come and talk about your thing with SRF. So she did. 30-minute interview. It's a podcast and it's a video online, all that stuff. SYNGAP.fund/Kayo. Check it out to learn about Ashley, who's really one of the driving forces behind what we do, and about the history of SRF. It's a really great interview. We're grateful to Kayo for having us on, and I'm grateful to Ashley every day for doing the work she does, supporting the work of SRF financially, and for keeping me on task. We are all, as SYNGAP parents, lucky to have Ashley in our corner. Don't take my word for it. Go listen to the interview at SYNGAP.fund/Kayo. Last point, IPSCs. All starts at Ciitizen. We've gone through Ciitizen. We've looked at every mutation in Ciitizen. If you're in Ciitizen, we've looked at it. If you're not, get in Ciitizen. We've put those mutations in different buckets. Nonsense, frame shift, missense, intronic. And then there's like a deletion, separate conversation. And then we said, okay, which of these therapies that we're tracking? We're tracking crazy sci-fi stuff. TNA suppression, prime editing, base editing, upregulation of both alleles, all this cool stuff. And we said, which of these approaches would work on each of these mutations? And then which mutations are going to be the most interesting to the most scientists? That's the question we were answering. Which mutations will be the most interesting to the most scientists? We're about to publish a blog on this, and we're going to reach out to 9 families and say, hey, your mutation's super interesting. Would you please give us blood from your Syngapian? And if they're a boy, give us blood from a brother or father. And if they're a boy, give us blood from a sister or mother. We're going to take that, and at a non-trivial expense, by the way, this stuff isn't free. We're going to send it to a lab, and we're going to take that blood and turn it into iPSCs. That's going to take a few months and a few $1,000s each. Then we're going to take those iPSCs and we're going to put them into biobanks, places where researchers and companies can get them easily and freely. And the reason we're going to do that is so that the next time a researcher or a company says, whoa, this SYNGAP thing's really cool, we should work on it, they don't have to waste time finding patients, finding blood, and making iPSCs. That's all done. We know those are the first 3 steps, so we're going to do them for them, kind of like Ciitizen. We're thinking ahead, we're getting the work done so that they can move faster and work on SYNGAP1. So great news, by the end of the year, we intend to have at least 9 different iPSC cell lines available for researchers and companies. I'm very proud of the team that did this, JR, Hans, others. Thank you for your tireless work on behalf of our patients. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more great news about SYNGAP10.